Very good morning to you. Welcome to the Morning Brief right here on Channels Television. I'm Jeffrey Ozama. Well, I'm the only one wearing a tie this morning, but welcome. That's going on.
And it's a colorful one too, combined with clement weather. Welcome to your perfect morning start, and we're reaching you live from our global headquarters here in Lagos, Channels Television. I am Bukola Koka.
July 31st is here, perhaps the last day. In fact, the last day in the month of July. August is just a few hours away. And it's a Friday. I'm Kelly Egiga.
Well, the lot's going on. I was listening to the radio. I like to listen to the radio whenever I'm coming because all of us came from radio. Radio has this power of immediacy. You know, for us who are on television, if something is happening, we need to carry cameras, film. But radio, we just see, we report. So sometimes the speed or the immediacy that makes radio quite interesting. So you hear feedback from a lot of people. And I saw people reacting to the president's statement, which I think we have ready. The president has hosted the traditional ruler Olubadan in the State House, and he said to the traditional ruler, look, well, so many things were said, but part of the thing that got the traction the most was the fact that he said no ransom was paid, that it got the families of the kidnappers or the abductors or this terrorist group because they were demanding that the Asano commanders be released, and the government says that's not going to happen. So they have to take extraordinary measure in terms of MO to get their families. His words were, we're ready to, if you continue killing our people, we'll finish you and your family and your communities. But let's take a listen to President Bola Tinubu.
Open our eyes, challenge us to examine and re-examine our architecture, our strategy, our map and operations. You will have seen we've given a geographical and numerical answer to the challenges. We are now moving to 12 divisions to shorten the response time, to give that response time the teeth that is needed for us to defeat terrorism and banditry. We refused to negotiate for ransom, for negotiate. And we said, no deal. We are not going to negotiate with criminals. They committed murder, and we were ready to finish with their families and members of their own communities. So, you have governed before as the governor. You need to help us communicate to these governors to get the economy.
So the president is from his mouth our listening ears. He said we're ready to finish their families and their communities. Well, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of reaction to it. So there are three parts to this. I see here people say, were they released? Were they rescued? The government that said they were rescued. The president that said they were rescued. We've also had testimonial from, I think, the principal, right? Yeah. I saw her do his testimony. He said the raid was so much from the military that at some point they were more afraid of the raid than even the bandits. So there are so many angles to these things that may be complicated, but the most important thing, first of all, is to be happy that these people are released. Second is that everybody, directly or remotely involved in this activity that has led to the killing of 2 teachers and personnel. I even heard the IGP said on their way, I think they lost someone or somebody was injured. So maybe there may never be a clear conclusion or satisfaction in terms of explanation that comes from the authorities. But the authorities were said they didn't pay ransom, they didn't negotiate, they rescued these people, and everyone involved will get justice, guys.
Indeed, significant commentary coming through from Mr. President, and of course his guests there, led by the Olubadan of Ibadan land, who, by the way, happens to be another round character. Both Olubadan and the president are from the class of 99 governors. So it was like, a reunion of sorts. And so it is significant that, there's been a difference, a remarkable turning point in the approach to handling security matters in the last couple of months, particularly with the, if you like, release or rescue of the Orire victims, because at that time you could also note the rescue of the Kwara victims. At that time you could also note, not long afterwards, the rescue of pupils and principal in Kogi State as well. So not long afterwards, the president announced, those measures, increasing the divisions of the Nigerian military formations from 8 to 12. But we cannot forget in a hurry, because if the administration wants to lay claim to this, even though we haven't quite connected the dots, there are some mysteries. Different accounts from the principal, Mrs. Alamu, to another teacher who says they escorted them, to the place where the armed forces now came to get them. So there are more questions than answers, which we, cannot quite put together, particularly because there were arrests of, 3 members, a number of, that kidnapped gang who have now been arraigned, charged to court, and for which trial is ongoing. So it's not quite, tying together. But we recall the Papiri 300 from the Catholic school in Niger State. And afterwards, when, a body of clerics went to visit Mr. President at the villa, Mr. President, in speaking to that particular, if you like, rescue or release situation, Mr. President said the end justifies the means. So have ransom been paid in the past, even in other kidnap cases under this administration? Well, you have the answer to that. I'm not going to make any commitment, but we see definitely a difference. But should it be sustained? Absolutely. Are there still real security concerns? Very much so. And not just in the North Central, where, concerns are continuing about how the slaughter is ongoing of Nigerian very precious lives, but in other parts of the country as well. And so the president spoke to something that is also very critical: response time, which he says these new measures have been designed and are being implemented to tackle. And so our focus should not just be on the Nigerian army, but on the Nigerian police as well. Where's the promise of increased recruitment in the Nigerian police, and of course better welfare for members of the force, such that we can now meet, the security standard as set by the United Nations, which I believe is 4 to 1 in terms of policing. But the issues remain. The approach, of course, we cannot ignore that it is significantly different. Kelly.
Well, just perhaps I should begin with your opening thoughts. Both men were senators in the Third Republic. Both men, that's the president and Oba Ladoja, Rashidi Ladoja de Olubadan, were governors again in the Fourth Republic, that's 1990, in the 1990s. So historically, both men have been allies for quite some time now. So for me, I'm looking at that political undertone to this meeting. Some days ago, it was the president meeting with the Catholic bishops. Now, the president meeting with Olubadan and other traditional rulers from the Southwest. Is this a subtle way of endorsement, perhaps, for Mr. President? I'm just perhaps looking at what a few persons may be reading in between the lines. That debate would continue, rescue or release, and because there's that trust deficit and gap. That's why for every time the government does something, it's always essential that the narrative is clear and plain, so that Nigerians can know what exactly happened. I know that historically, no government would always come and say, no, ransom was paid. So it was good that the president perhaps is setting the record straight and say, no ransom was paid. But Nigerians continue to scrutinize whether or not ransoms are being paid for the kidnaps of victims and all of that. But then again, while we celebrate the Orire, let Mr. President also know that in Benue State, people are dying. In Plateau State, in Kaduna State, on Sunday, 30 persons lost their lives in the community. In Borno State, there are about 5 communities there where we hear there have been massive kidnappings. So please, really, for me, is almost done and dusted. Let's turn attention now to other Nigerians who are still in captivity. Some perhaps are reported, some, or many more, are perhaps not even reported. I think that's where we should be turning our spotlights on. So for me, it really is done and dusted. Let's turn attention now to other Nigerians who are still in captivity. According to the records, I'm not sure how much it is, but that record has been broken in terms of the monies paid for ransom in the last 1 year. It's in trillions of dollars from what SBM reported. So I think we need to do better.
Because we don't have that kind of money yet. I think at the end of the day, we played politics with security, and it got us here. Now we are in a situation where every necessary modus operandi to install the authority of the state that is necessary and legal has to be done. This is like at some point you joked and you were almost overrun. So before you begin to do certain things, you need to clear the place. So that is why it's commendable to see that some of these terrorists are neutralized, some have gotten justice through the courts. And for us, we are still advocating, I know it's international law and all of that, Bukola and Kelly, all of this Operation Corridor, close that corridor, Mr. President. Close that corridor, if you can, please, because from your words to us, you said the corridor doesn't have it's not perpetually open. Please, Mr. President, close that corridor. Do you know what it means, guys, for the president to say, people miss it. Do you know what it means for a president to sit down on the chair and say, we got their families, we told them, we'll finish your families. Now, that some rights lawyers will come for the president on that. But it's a desperate situation. Now we can argue whether it's right or wrong, but what I'm saying is that we allowed ourselves to come to the point where Lakarawa and Saru, which is affiliated to Al-Qaeda, ISWAP, the many names that we have, Boko Haram, have come to have a heaven in this place. It's not going to be acceptable anymore. So whatever is needed, Mr. President, and all the security agencies, who I always say can do their job if politicians allow them to do their job, let's do the best we can and make this the past. So as Kelly has said, there are so many people still held in captivity. Let's get them out. And these killings that has continued has to stop. We must tell the enemies of our state that this state belongs to us and not to terrorists. But we'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll get to the dailies in just a moment. Stay with us.
Welcome back. Let's get right into the papers. And of course, Mr. Dayo Akitobi, journalist and public affairs analyst, is back with us right here in the studio. I know for you it's TGIM, but I can't help but say TGIFM. It's good to see you again, sir.
It's good to be back, and thank God it's Friday. Looking forward to the weekend.
All right, let's get right into it. And this Nigeria is for starters this morning. Of course, it picks up from our opening thoughts with that visit by a body of traditional rulers led by the Olubado of Ibadan land to the villa. And it leads with what the president, spoke strongly to. Prioritize citizens' welfare. Tinubu tackles governors. And the president is talking tough this morning. He says they now get more money. They should stop wasting it on less impactful projects. Reveals why FG refused to pay ransom for release of Oriri abductees. Mr. Akitobi, two strong issues there coming from Mr. President: development at the subnationals, and of course the Oriri concern that got the whole country, mourning, but we're now celebrating anyway.
Yes, the one that struck me in that exchange was when the president essentially said, stop building flyovers where there's no traffic, to utilize the flyovers, instead build roads that are more useful for community expansion. Yes, it is true that in light of the aftermath of subsidy removal and liberalization of the FX market, that the governors have received a lot more money, but we're not seeing that a commensurate development at sub-national levels is what the president was complaining about. Essentially, what he's saying is, don't put all the responsibility on the federal government, because we have a tendency when we complain about lack of development, about quality of life issues, we have a tendency to focus solely on the federal government as if it's the beginning and the end of all our woes. But what he's saying is that look more towards your governors. Really, all politics is local. The more local governance is, the closer it is to the people. So I'll even go further and say, look even to your local government chairman, because they're the closest to communities. So without a doubt.
But is local government autonomy being implemented?
much. But truth is, if the states are getting more, the local governments should also be getting more. Whether they actually get it is another question entirely altogether. But I align with what the president says, that we should hold our governors more accountable and more responsible in terms of community development, in terms of quality of life issues, in terms of, our welfare and our well-being. Issues like security, issues like minimum wage, things to do with foreign policy. Those things are exclusive to the federal government. But when it comes to issues of our daily lives, the levels of government that are closer to us are more responsible. So I agree with him on that we should task our governors a whole lot more. It's not just about building flyovers and beating your chest that you've put up a bridge here or there. What impact? I try and make a distinction between achievement and impact. You can beat your chest about building bridges, but what impact is that bridge having in the lives of your people? We need to see more impactful interventions from our state governors, is what the president is saying, and I agree with him on that. On the Orire issue, there's still a gray area or a number of unanswered questions, because I listened to a few interviews from some of the victims, and some of the reports seem to indicate that they were actually released and taken to civilization where the army was waiting to receive them. If those reports are accurate, then it's more indicative of a release than a rescue. I know that most governments around the world have a policy that we do not negotiate with terrorists. That is on the surface position of every government. But is that the reality? There are some situations where, for national security reasons, you won't admit that you did when you actually did, because not every situation that is amenable to kinetic measures to resolve. In this particular Orire case, as you said, Mrs. Alamo, the principal, was talking about the fact that at one point they were even more scared of the government raids than they were of the terrorists, in terms of all the bombing that happened at a point in time. So I think for me, what matters most is that they've come home, they're safe, and that government is trying to take preventive measures. The only reason we're talking about whether it was a rescue or a release is because it happened in the first instance. So why don't we now pay more attention to how are we able to prevent future occurrences? Look, the president has taken a step a few days ago. He has expanded the military from 8 divisions to 12. He says that will increase, that will shorten response time, it will make intervention more effective. For me, the most important thing is let's do something. Let's keep trying different things. We've been doing the same thing the same way and expecting different results for too long, and it's not working that way. So if he's coming up with new, fangled ways to try things, you won't know until you try. So let's give him a break and see if this new intervention is going to be beneficial to the fight against terror.
You know, the twist to that, I try to look at all sides.
Yes.
The release or the rescue.
Yes.
On one hand, there's something the government is seeing. On the other hand, there's something the victim is seeing.
Yes.
There's also the possibility that pressure made them to say, keep moving. There's also the point of whether it was whatever happened.
Right.
But the government has said this was a rescue.
Yes.
And the president, there's something I wanted you to comment on before we go to the next paper. The president speaking about the MO. How did you receive that? Of saying, we're ready to finish their families and their communities. That was not a joke from a commander-in-chief. I've never heard the president say that. That means this is no longer a joke.
No, it's not. Definitely, desperate times call for desperate measures. I mean, there's diplomatic talk, there's presidential talk, to where you're always measured in your language and you don't want to come across as being too extreme. But for the president to have gone to the point of publicly stating now, we'll finish you, we'll finish your family, and family involves women and little children. As you said, human rights activists all over the world will be up in arms and no, you can't do that. You can't. Even if you intend to do it, you can't say it. But I guess he's pushed to the wall. And when you're pushed to the wall, you bounce back. And it's at a point where I will do anything to protect my citizens. So if you dare come after us, we will take gloves off completely.
You know what I say? I think it's also an indirect policy statement.
Yeah.
Without writing anything down. That let it be clear from now on. This is what will happen. If you have family members
Yes.
who are involved in this thing,
Yes.
know that directly or indirectly you are involved.
Yes.
So advise yourself.
Silence is endorsement in
Yes.
this case.
So,
Absolutely.
because the people that were found, there was a sentence to life imprisonment.
Yes.
Their role was a concealment,
Yes.
aid,
Yes.
and all of that,
Support.
because they want those Ansaru wicked leaders. They wanted that's part of what the president said. They wanted those two people to be rid, and they are in court now. We hope that they get the ultimate punishment anyway.
In a war situation, all bets are off. You suspend
All is
habeas corpus, suspend, all rights and all conventions. So if we're in a war situation, forget about the fact that, if you victimize my family, I won't victimize your own. The bottom line is, how will we win this war? If what it takes to do is to simply say, you take my person, I'll take yours. Mano a mano, tit for tat. If that's what's going to resolve it, that's what we have to do.
As long as it's security, and not politics,
Yes.
we're good.
Yes.
I think it's interesting to hear the presidents, say that. I hope that, as Nigerians would say, I hope he would walk the talk. I hope so. I hope so. But let's switch gears now to the Vanguard newspaper. At least with something else. FG Labour clash over use of fuel subsidy removal savings. FG Labour clash over use of fuel subsidy removal savings. The Minister of Finance is saying that these savings were used to service increased workers' salaries and others. And then you're economical with truth, Labour tells FG, and dares the Finance Minister to produce evidence on salary claim. I like the fact that Labour is perhaps putting some sort of pressure on the current government. But Nigerians are still questioning what exactly are we doing with the monies saved, as subsidies was suspended. Nigerians are still questioning exactly where those monies are being deployed to.
Yes, you see, the thing about it is that we've not seen it reflecting in our lives. We've not, all this money these trillions that has been saved from removal of subsidy, which had a negative impact on our spending power, So if you're saving all this money and we're paying for it at the pump and transport and food, then where is the money going? We're not seeing it in the improvements that were promised. The Minister of Finance said yesterday that a report will be issued very soon that showed how the money was spent. But report on paper is simply theory. We want to feel practical. We want to see practical effects, what I call impact. For me, governance is all about impact. What direct benefit are we deriving from government policies? So you've made this policy to remove subsidy. You promised us that it would save so much money because the government could no longer afford to sustain those payments, but that the savings would be plowed into infrastructure, into social welfare, into education, into health. When we're talking about health, the government is beating its chest saying that, they no longer borrow to pay salaries, pensions are paid up to date. But look at resident doctors are talking about going on strike. That's one of the headlines in the papers today, that they're going on strike August 10 simply because their demands have not been met in terms of their remuneration. So there's a disconnect. On the one hand, there's all this money, extra money. Government is saying we're using it judiciously, but the reality on ground says something different. So I can't wait for Minister Oyedele to bring this report that he says will show line by line by line where the expenditure of the subsidy savings is going, because it's a humongous amount of money, which if properly deployed, should have a direct impact in our day. We should see it. We should see the effects. Even if it's prices in the market going down, if it's fuel being more affordable, if it is minimum wage being increased, if it is transportation going down, if it's CNG buses all over the place, we should see it, but we are not. All we're seeing is that we continue to suffer, but government continues to lavishly parade around in convoys.
All right, so when it comes to this economy issue, we're waiting for the campaign seasons to come, and we're going to ask a lot of questions. There's something that we may be missing, and this is my thinking. I think that at the subnational level, some states have voted people that are qualified to be governors. We seem not to have that conversation. We feel that everybody who is a governor is qualified. That's another day before the governors come for me. You know your governors. You know the ones that are qualified, the ones that don't have any business being in government house. We'll talk about that some other day. But let's talk about New Telegraph. The bottom story, because we've talked about resident doctors issuing that notice, we're going to have the president that's in next week to talk about this as well. But this is an important story I would like you to binge on, which has to do with them saying, if you don't meet our welfare and some of the arrears, 10th of August, we're down tools. And then beneath is Osun State, Osun 2026, which is just about 15 days away or 16 days. INEC deploys undercover operatives to tackle vote buying.
Yes. Vote buying.
Osun, I don't know what it is, but the violence in that state and the conversation around that state in this election is very troubling.
It's a combustible mix, and I'll tell you why. There are many contending factions, particularly parties. Let's look at the history of recent Osun State politics. The governor started his political life as a senator in the APC. He became governor under PDP. He recently defected to Accord. So the governor himself has represented three different competing interests. The immediate past governor of Osun was from the APC, which is currently the party at the center. The APC is still smarting over its loss in 2022. I believe it was that they had the last presidential election. They're still smarting over that loss because they believe they shouldn't have lost. They thought that the then governor Oyetola did a good job, and that by rights he should have been returned to office. So the APC has been bearing its fangs for the last 3.5 years in Osun State, preparing to take back what it regards as its rightful mandate. So by the time you put all those elements into a cauldron and you stir it up, it's a recipe for contention, violence, subterfuge, backhanded tactics. I mean, so vote buying, even in less contentious competitions across states that are not so competitive in terms of contending parties, you already have vote buying issues. Not to now talk of a state that has major, principalities going for each other's throats. Now, the SSG in Osun State recently was arrested by the police, and they said a residence that was tied to him, they found so many millions of naira of cash, and they found electoral items, probably PVC. Register PVC. All of these indicated to a wholesale effort to manipulate the election. Now, I think he's been released on bail, but he still has a question.
There was a peace pact signed yesterday, Adeleke and the APC candidate, Biodun Yebamiji.
I really wonder what those peace pacts are really because they are signed.
It's been a war stage set for the election. So,
absolutely.
What is the commitment to peace that we should hold on to?
This is the issue. I mean, it's just a signature on paper, but is there a wholesale effort to persuade our followers? Because at the end of the day, the violence is always fomented by the followers, not the principal characters themselves. But how many of them in actual fact sit down with their followers or their supporters and tell them that, look, we're going to run a clean campaign? I really look forward to a time when we will actually have the kind of elections to where the losers will accept defeat, because that means the election was so above board that you have nothing to complain about. You can't complain about rigging, intimidation, suppression, vote buying, nothing. So let's throw the onus back on INEC. to organize a type of elections that will be so above board that there will be no complaints, to the point that there will be no grounds to even say, I didn't lose fairly and squarely, I lost and I accept defeat. That is the standard we should aim for. And to be able to get there, all these issues of vote buying, violence, voter suppression, it's a common fact that in Nigeria, when elections are coming, there's an importation of weapons, there's an empowerment of miscreants, simply because we want to get an upper hand and an edge against our competitor. All those kinds of things don't belong in civilized society in terms of simply because we want to choose those we want to lead us. We don't need that. It might be a utopian fantasy.
It certainly is not, because we're too far away from what the idea is.
Absolutely.
See,
that's my point.
The problem. I have never had problem with politicians because I have close to zero expectation when it comes to certain things and the political class, with respect, because it's a game of interest and people do anything for interest.
Absolutely.
What we should focus on is strengthening institutions like INEC and the police. The day INEC and police and everybody who's in charge of elections are neutral, politicians can do whatever they want, behave anyhow they want, because that's why, just imagine that this Nigeria was, I don't want to do that comparison, but they say you're demarketing the country. Look at what's happening in America with a character like Donald Trump. If not for the strength of the institutions, you know what would have happened. You understand? So at the end of the day, it's about focusing on our institution, but expecting politicians to behave is a very long time.
But I don't think it should be the politicians alone that we should expect to behave.
I'm saying they are the ones in the eye of the storm. I know
just yesterday I was watching this show and you talked about how the CP of Lagos State attended.
That was very shameful. We have invited him. We have invited him. On a good day, that CP...
city boy CP.
Yes. On a good day, that CP should not have a job by the next day.
Absolutely, because you mentioned police, you mentioned INEC, and here we are seeing the police being openly partisan.
So we've extended the we've extended an invite to him because his people have not even spoken to say this is why CP went there. This is very, I don't know.
And you know, there's an interaction with the political class, the electoral umpire, and the police as well. So inevitably, we cannot expect good behavior from one without it impacting on the other. So we must also place accountability on. Speaking of INEC, INEC has talked about readiness to conduct this election without concern about the conduct of the police in Osun State. I wonder if we should be asking more questions of INEC as well, because election is a multi-stakeholder, conduct, not just one institution.
Absolutely.
So much to talk about as far as Osun is concerned, but we just must anchor it. Mr. Dare Akitobi, by the way, is a journalist and public affairs analyst. Thank you for insights on the program.
My pleasure always. Good morning, Nigeria.
There's more politicking to talk about. That will be after this break. Stay with the Morning Brief on Channels Television. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the program, everyone. We are staying with politics this Friday morning, but particularly politics around APC and issues around internal democracy. We're joined this hour by a member of that party, the APC, Engineer Japheth Ogwere, also the DG Citizens Campaign Council, which is one of the support groups. Thank you so much, Mr. Japheth. You have raised so much concerns. You did a presser very recently, which we covered. You put out a statement as well, highlighting some issues within the ruling party. I'm trying to see if I can pull out some of those concerns that you have raised, because you're fearing that if these issues are not fixed, perhaps, and these cracks continue within the party, then maybe your party doesn't stand a chance. But perhaps you could just walk us through what exactly walk us through exactly what the concerns are.
No, the issues have nothing to do with the chances of the party in 2027 election.
But your statement says that the house that is divided against itself cannot stand.
Administration.
And that can affect your chances at the polls.
It won't anyway, because we have a president who is more like a leader of rainbow coalition in Nigeria.
So what are the issues?
He's going to get votes from APC.
Yes,
PDP, and now
what are the issues? Let's do the issues.
The major issue is that according to the provisions of Article 30 of APC Constitution, which prescribes that the Constitution is subject to be amended, and the new National Working Committee, under the leadership of the present national chairman, sometime last year, inaugurated the Constitution Review Committee, Constitution Amendment Committee, headed by His Excellency Malabuni, the governor of Yobe State, along with respected stakeholders of the party. I think they carried out the activities. They had zonal public hearings. The one for the Northwest was held in Meduguri. That should be in the state. It should be the State Congress Hall. The one for Southwest was held. The one for Southside, the rest of those public hearings were held. And stakeholders, party stalwarts and supporters tendered and actually submitted their own recommendations for the amendment. It was collated nationwide and officially submitted as a draft to the National Working Committee. And we expected by the APC 2026 APC National Convention that was just successfully conducted, for the Constitution to be ratified by both the NWC and NEC and adopted as a working document. That did not happen. And there are fundamental flaws we noticed, which of course the stakeholders actually made contributions and suggestions and submission towards amendment. And most of those clauses, like number one, every National Working Committee member, 30 of them, both the National Working the officers and their deputies, are supposed to be incorporated as National Working Committee members. For example, I don't see any reason why the Deputy National Woman Leader is a member of National Working Committee, whereas the Deputy National Treasurer is not one. I don't see any reason why the National Deputy Public Secretary of APC is an NWC member, why the National Deputy Legal Advisor is not one. So those were the faulties and that we are noticed in the previous the Constitution that was amended, the draft, which of course is still sitting with the office of the National Chairman, that we noticed and we pressed upon for such to be amended, to be corrected. Now, what does that mean? It means that the members of the party that were nominated by their states to represent them at the level of the national structure of APC have been, a kind of discriminated upon. Discrimination is antithetical to democratic norms and practices. So, as members of the support groups, we held press conferences and put it as a matter of urgent necessity for the new National Executive Council, the new National Working Committee, to ratify and adopt the Constitution with utmost emergency. That is on one side. Then on the second side, since February 2013 that APC was officially formed, throughout this year, it's almost 13 years and some couple of months now, there has never been any specific responsibility allotted to support groups. APC has over plus or minus 5,000 support groups spread across the 36 states of the Federation and FCT, with more than 200 to 300,000 members. They are not given any function, but the present amended draft Constitution lying fallow, waiting to be ratified and adopted as a working document, has imputed specific functions. And why did they affect us? Just recently, the APC constituted the Osun State Governorship Election Committee, and no single support group member was actually involved in the committee. Apart from that, certain deputy national offices, the ones that I just mentioned, Office of the Deputy National Legal Advisor, Office of the Deputy National Legal Auditor, Office of the Deputy National Legal Auditor, Office of National Deputy Organizing Secretary, and the rest of such offices we are not even involved. So a kind of discriminatory governance or a discriminatory approach is used in the constitution of that NEC itself, the NWC itself, and that is why we are actually not too happy about. I'm hearing you.
Your grounds, let me understand your grounds. Let's stay with the support group. Your grounds is that you want some recognition for the support group. Is that what you're saying?
What we are saying is that the draft of the constitution that is waiting to be officially ratified and adopted should be done. The draft contains everything that actually allays our fears and addresses our grouses. So we are not after, we don't have any personal, grouse about
what I'm saying is that you lead a support group. So I want to query operationalization, because the way party works, there's already a structure. Yes, there's a place of support group, but there's already a structure. There's the NWC, of course, the convention NWC, and the sub-organs at the state level, to the ward level, to even the polling unit level, depending. But structurally, it ends at the ward level. So these are structures within political parties to drive electioneering and form government for the ones who don't have a government. Even though the opposition, this is how it works. So, but you are saying that support groups should be constitutional at the party level, because I want to know your input as far as this submission is concerned.
Now, APC support group are still members of the APC.
Yes, I know.
Paid money and contested at the level of the Senate. Like me, I have contested even at the level of APC 2026 APC National Convention. I bought one and contested also. So a lot of us are bona fide and founding members of APC. Although, since we did not find ourselves within the original structure of APC in terms of the administration, then we still find ourselves as support group members. That does not make us quite different from the party. Some of us command, we command crowds, we command mobilization strength. I'm not talking about myself only, I'm talking about the support groups. When you look at the names of the support group leaders, you will find out that some of them are even former this and former that and former this. So we cannot just sit down, being former this and former that, and fold our arms and actually allow our party to go into election without actually playing our own part. So what we say is that the constitution provides function for the APC support groups. So if the constitution is not
function? Define these functions.
One of the functions, yes, to be involved in the mechanization and machinization of party activities. For example, Osun State Governorship Election Committee has been inaugurated. No member of support group found itself there. So that's one of the outgrowths. Number two, there is not even a central body that coordinates and negotiates, and if not, tries to encourage or motivate, if not inspire the support groups. We don't have such things right now, but support groups play a major role in mobilization.
So APC has a number of members. If I get you correctly, you're seeking a recognition of support groups, for instance, in the Osun election, for the prosecution of the election, for the release of funds, door-to-door campaigns, to get people to vote in the party in Osun State, something like that. Am I correct?
No, to some extent, yes, but let me just put you very correctly. Constitution, the present constitution, already, this present constitution, I'm talking from the constitutional aspect of it.
Yes.
The present APC constitution that is awaiting ratification and adoption contains the functions. I am not here to interpret the functions, but I've given you an idea of what we are actually seeking. We want the party to ratify its constitution and adopt it. We are entering 2027 election. For there to be a need for amendment of a constitution shows there are fault lines. There are certain ambiguities that must be clarified by the constitution, and that has been done, and it was done diligently by the committee, and the constitution is already there. So we expected the NWC, especially the NDEC also, to adopt and ratify that APC constitution at the level of 2026 APC National Convention and zonal congresses. It was not done.
What is the function of the support group? I'm just wondering if what you mean is that support groups should also be given the mandate financially to promote the programs and policies of the APC, just as we see Renewed Hope ambassadors. Are you talking about funding, especially as we enter into the election? Is that what the new amended constitution says, and the support group is not? No. Support groups are not getting this.
No, the issue is that we are self-funded. The support groups fund themselves. So we are not interested in that area of funding. Ours is that we should be given a mandate to function officially. And once we work, we should be recognized. For example, the 2023 election, The support group came out en masse, mobilized their members, and made sure that our president, who is still going to win again, won the first election, and is going to win again. We still play the same part. But after the election, what next?
So
There must be areas. Well, we so what say necessary when you are not given official or constitutional recognition at the time of forming the government, you may not even be included also. So you may see that if your efforts are not actually being appreciated, or if you are just doing it in vain.
And that leads me to my next question. That's recognition and appreciation. Frame a picture for us what exactly you're looking at.
Now, the members of the support groups and leaders of the support groups, some of them are former governors, former ministers, former this, former that.
We know this background. You've mentioned that.
Enlightened.
The appreciation and recognition.
Now, we have members. For example, Citizen Campaign Council, we have 25,000 registered members with lists and their phone numbers intact. Now, and each of these members have access to 1 or 2 or 3 other members. During the election, we actually set forth and allow our member to reach out to others, because you are not the only ones going to actually vote for Mr. President. It is not even only APC members that will vote for Mr. President. Some non-partisan members will still vote. Even some opposition will still vote. So we have access and contact to most of these people, non-partisan persons, artisans.
Yes. So what's the for instance, so that perhaps the APC is listening to you now, and Mr. President, whom you are very confident will win the elections in 2027. What do you want in terms of that recognition and appreciation?
What we want has been already captured in the Constitution. Therefore, what the vital thing we want is for APC Constitution to be ratified and adopted as a working document. It contains every other thing we want. We don't want to go outside the provisions of the Constitution, because whatever I say now will be preempting what we have not really seen from the Constitution. So I want to be properly guided, so I cannot be quoted out of context. There are specific functions provided by the Constitution of APC that is awaiting to be ratified and adopted. Now, let me tell you, so much funds was spent in the areas collation of ideas, contributions and submissions of party members at the level of the zonal town hall meetings. They had meetings. A lot of I think the people made contributions. So the draft constitution already submitted to the NWC should be ratified and adopted and as a working document. That actually solves almost 80% of the whole problems we are here to address. But if we as a support group we function more or less like political civil societies, so we are here to mount pressure on the NWC to do the needful.
Okay, I think
President,
if you can hear me, I think we'll get the point. So now,
yes, loud and clear.
The bigger picture for you, from what I gleaned, is the fact that when government is formed or when elections are won, support groups just go back to being support groups. They don't get anything on the table because they are not integrated as part of the system. So my last question is, you're confident that President Bola Tinubu will win the election, right?
Yes.
Why are you that
very confident?
Why are you confident that the president will win the election?
Now, I just want to give you a scenario to back it up.
Just 30 seconds.
I want to reach Rivers State. I want to reach Rivers State. Wike is the leader of the Rainbow Coalition in Rivers State, and the antecedent of Wike, from the so far what he has actually galvanized, he is going to win the election 95.9%. So it's just like Mr. President. The president is loved. Forget what the people are saying. Forget what the social medias are saying. The president is loved. Why? Because right now, local government councils are receiving over billions of naira. State governors are receiving billions. There is so much money at the grassroots. People may not even see this. People may not be persuaded. So we believe.
So first, the contraption about coalition is different. I don't want to debate that with you because
the president will win an election because they have done very well. So and still the policies of Mr. President is yielding fruits.
I'm happy you said that governors and local government, not the people are getting the money. So let's be clear on the difference. But
no, the governors that the people must look for the money themselves. They have to make effort to actually get the money.
We'll talk about it another day. But great submission.
We have to leave it here. We have to leave it here. You members of the Rainbow Coalition, I like how you you pride yourself.
I don't even know what that is.
Whether or not the people,
What's the reality?
whether or not this is for the people,
reality.
It's another kettle of fish. But let's anchor it here. Mr. Japheth Ogbori is a member of the APC and also DG, Citizens Campaign Council. Thank you indeed for your time, and we wish you and your party all the best.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Well, this is the morning brief. Let's take a moment now. We'll be back and continue with more conversations right here on this network. Please stay with us.
Welcome back. So let's get into another matter entirely different from politics. Let's look at the ecosystem around African culture and creativity. And joining us this time on the program is Mrs. Malami Mangja. She's the Director General, African International Documentary Festival Foundation. She joins us from our Abuja studio. Good morning, madam, and welcome to the program.
Good morning, and thank you for having me today. Good morning, and thank you for having me.
And I hope I got your name correctly. Pardon me if I didn't.
You did try. Thank you, you did try.
All right, let's get right into the conversation. Was it last year now? It was exciting to watch the African International Documentary Festival, which held somewhere in Kaduna, I believe, a gathering of Nigerian... Kano, yes, somewhere in the north.
Kano.
Yes, a gathering of Nigerian creatives who converge, and showcase their enterprise. And so, is something like that coming up again? And what are the, what are the ensembles that we're supposed to expect in this coming season from the foundation?
Okay, thank you once again. The program we had last year, it's called the UNESCO World Heritage Volunteers Program, where volunteers across Nigeria and the world converge in Kano to see how we could promote the ancient Kano city walls and associated sites. But for this year, what we're doing, this month, that's next week, Tuesday, 4th of August, is quite different. We are launching a program which is called Heritage in Motion. AFIDEF has been in the forefront of documenting Nigeria's rich cultural heritage and history for the past 10 years. So we are celebrating AFIDEF and partners, and also showcasing what we have done in terms of heritage documentation, and also celebrating young creatives that have documented this cultural heritage and sites, and also preserved it, and also amplifying the voices of these communities that are hard to reach. Some of the communities that AFIDEF has worked in the past 10 years is the Sukul cultural landscape, that is Nigeria's first World Heritage Site. I think the journey began in 2021, where after the insurgency, we felt there was a need for the Sukul cultural landscape to be promoted, documented, preserved well. And that was why we came up with the program, the restoration of the Sukul cultural landscape, where we work with about 21 stakeholders in the restoration of the site, and also with the strong support of the National Commission for Museums and Monuments, and also the National Commission for UNESCO. And that was what we did in terms of restoring the site in Sukul. We work with the communities. We allowed the community to own the project, and that was why we were able to restore mostly all the landscape itself. And it's not just restoring the landscape itself, but also giving hope to the community that are there in Sukul. One of the things that we did in Sukul is not just preaching about history, preserving it, but also trying to see how we can improve the livelihood of the communities that are there, especially the young creatives that are in the Sukul, on the hill of Sukul cultural landscape, where we had to work in terms of education, providing an e-library, a community library center for them. And also one of the things for Sukul cultural landscape, it's almost 1,000 feet above the sea level meters. So it's very hard to reach. So for people and to get there and also to get an intervention, it's usually impossible for them. But with the help of our partners, that is the Northeast Development Commission, and also with the Adamawa State government, the communities were able to get intervention in the past 5 years. Now the Suku cultural landscape, through our intervention, through our advocacy and the support of these organizations, just last year, December, the Northeast Development Commission provided about 100 street lights for the community. Over the 600 years that the community has existed, they have never seen lights. And then they have also installed 2 industrial boreholes for the communities in Suku. We have also, one of the things we have done for the community is also we have empowered or built capacity for over 500 of the youth women in the Suku community. So it's not just Suku that we are also working. The Gashaka-Gumti National Park are working together also with the National Park Service. What we're able to do over the years is when we searched and we saw that the National Park has also been on the tentative list of UNESCO for over 20 years. And we felt that there was a need for this park to have more advocacy and also to bring more tourism into that sector. And that was when okay, yeah, thank you, go ahead.
Go ahead and just land on your thoughts.
Okay, so that was why we held the UNESCO World Heritage Program at the Gashaka-Gumti National Park. The state government were involved, and also the young youth in Taraba and other parts of Nigeria. One of the most important things that we did was for them to understand the need, why they have to keep promoting, why they have to keep preserving, and also an opportunity to see how we can create wealth, through different entrepreneurial skills in the sector.
Yeah. Well,
especially through tourism.
Yeah. So your submission, resonates with us here on this platform and network, because we are also a storytelling network, and as journalists, we always love to tell stories, and documentaries is something that some of us love to also do. I saw a video of one of the players, football players. I'm not sure if you are familiar with football players now, but this player who plays for Real Madrid, Jude Bellingham, I saw his grandfather take the black chair, and he was questioned about Nigeria, and he spoke so well about this country. It was a debate, more like a quiz, more like, and he spoke so well when he was asked questions about Nigeria. And then I said to myself, how come someone knows so much about my country more than I do? And he also paints a picture about Nigerians and the continent. Are we paying enough attention to our history, to our culture, to our heritage, especially those who are in government? Because this doesn't look like something that always concerns the government. They are up and about infrastructure, flyovers, bridges, but the history, the culture which defines the identity of a people, most times these people do not pay attention to it.
Yes, thank you very much. I think that is why we're having this program called the Heritage in Motion, where we're bringing stakeholders together. The government is coming in also, is part of the program, the private sector, the diplomatic mission, and the creatives. We've created a platform where the creatives can also be part of this program, where we are going to sit down together through dialogue and see how opportunities are going to be created for these young creatives. Through these sectors, a lot can be done through this heritage sector. There are opportunities in this sector, and it's not just about only the history that are there. A lot of our creatives now are using these monuments and our sites to be able to generate income for themselves through content creation. We can see most of these sites, how they are documented, and we just 2 weeks, was it the last 3 months, I was following someone from Taraba, Discover Taraba. He started very slowly, and right now I can see this young these young digital content creators having almost 100 subscribers on his network, and you can imagine what he's getting. His creating advocacy, promoting tourism in that sector, and also creating wealth for himself. So one of the things that we're discussing during this program, Heritage in Motion, on the 4th of next week, Tuesday, 4th of July 2026, here in Abuja at the FCT Pavilion, we're bringing the stakeholders together, and we're also creating different platforms through the documentary club. We're creating a program we also call Lens on Africa through the cultural exchange program for Africa and by Africans themselves. We want Africa to be able to tell their stories. We want the young ones. We're empowering them to tell the story by themselves, not somebody else to tell our own stories. So that is exactly what AFIDEF is doing. We have created already platforms for them. AFIDEF has a platform which is called the Social Entrepreneur Network for Africa. We have over 4,000 young creatives, which we give them mentoring, give them the right resources to excel in their different entrepreneurial skills. So this is what AFIDEF is doing, and we encourage all the young creatives, the traditional institutions, because we are working with government traditional institutions, the grassroots communities, which for us is it's one of the most important, because once you allow the communities to own projects that are done there, it makes it quite easy for you to do whatever you want to do. And that is why I think the African International Documentary Festival Foundation was able, we have a lot of success stories. We are going to showcase what we have done in terms of documentary.
Yeah, so what is it? I'm trying to, because these are conversations we've had over and over again, people trying to tell stories, and the creative community or the creative economy is one of our biggest exports, especially in Nigeria. When you talk about music, when you talk about films, but when you look at what's going on the continent with the Afrophobia, which they call xenophobia, that is going on in South Africa, I'm wondering where the failure comes from. Is it the failure of funding to be able to tell our story and propound it as much as we want, or the failure of inability to provide the right infrastructure for distribution and own it? So we're here, we're watching K-pop, knowing a lot about Korea, knowing a lot about these places, when some people have not even crossed their country to other places. And you could appreciate the interaction between modernity and, of course, the ancient landmarks that are being created in those kind of sectors. So my question is, where are we missing it? Is it in the funding gap or in the infrastructure gap to be able to do? Because if it's talent, I don't think we have a shortage of it.
I think in the funding gap, that's the opportunity for the young creatives. And also, the history, especially for the creatives themselves. Some of our youth don't really know this history, because I remember sometimes ago history was even taken out of school. But I'm happy that now we have the histories now back into the schools. So most of them don't even understand our history. So even when you're talking about the problems with the xenophobia in South Africa, I'm sure most of them don't even read history. They don't even know what the African continent has done for South Africa. And I'm sure that is one of the reasons why they're behaving the same way they are. So I think there's a problem with knowledge. They need to understand their history, and once they understand their history, it's very easy for them to go into the right direction. And then the funding gap in this sector, I think it's lacking. And then also for the creatives themselves, platforms should be created. More platforms should be created for these young creatives. A lot of creatives go ahead, create their documentaries. A lot of stories are being told, but there are not enough platforms to compensate them and also to showcase what they have done. I have a lot of creatives that have created so many beautiful documentaries about Africa. If they don't show up if they don't show up in festivals, or they don't win, it doesn't go anywhere. It just ends up in their hard drives. So I think we have to create these platforms apart from the YouTube now, which we are grateful for the YouTube. I think now they can put up some of their stories and some of their documentaries and earn some kind of income from it. So I think there's a need, especially for Nigeria, to look inwards to see how we can create more funding. And I'm happy that the Honorable Minister, right now, one of her mandates, I think, is with the creatives. I think she has created a lot of opportunities for them, and I think, but there's still a need for this government to create more opportunities for the youth in this sector.
And I'm glad that AfriDef is, focusing a lot of its activities in the north. I don't know if your mandate expands to other parts of Nigeria, but you've talked about cultural heritage site. And I'm coming with, a context on this one, because of the challenge of insecurity, not just in Nigeria's north now, but which is expanding to the southern part of the country, but of course, which is very much a challenge in the north. How are you selling the potential in terms of wealth creation, empowerment for young people in Nigeria's north to northern youths, such that they begin to see this as a viable alternative to other forms of other ways of life that are not profitable, that are in fact a threat to society?
Okay. Thank you so much for that question. And also for AfriDef, we're not only focusing on North, we have done a lot, we have documented a lot of festivals, even in the West and also in the southern part of Nigeria. Maybe I didn't mention that. Why I was focusing on the Sukuru cultural landscape was because when we started this movement, or we started this work in 2021 in terms of documentation, we found out that Nigeria has two World Heritage Sites. That's the Osho-Oshogbo and also the Sukuru cultural landscape in Adamawa State, Nigeria. What we found out, because it has been affected by the insurgency, it has little or no, when you come to search, you hardly get anything about Sukur. And Sukur had a lot of history that has to be projected and for the world, and to also see how it can create some kind of income for the community, for themselves, and also for the Adamawa State government and Nigeria as a whole. So that was why we started with the Sukuru cultural landscape, and other festivities across Nigeria were also documented. The Ojodi Oba festival that just ended, I think 2 or 3 months ago. AfriDef has been part of that festival. We have documented that festival. Is one of those things we are also going to showcase during the program on the 4th of July. One of the things in terms of the capacity building, AfriDef is building capacity of young creatives. That was why I said we have created a platform for the young creative to join AfriDef and also to build their capacity, both on documentaries, the storytelling, to be able to tell the African stories by themselves, in their own, with their own lens.
All right, that'll be a fine place to anchor it, and look forward to more creative work and more, value creation from AfriDef to the entire part of Nigeria. We've been talking with Madam Malami Manja.
Thank you. You pronounced it well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on the program. You want to say something?
Thank you, Channel TV, for having. No, I said thank you, Channel TV, for having us, and also for projecting Nigeria and also our cultural assets too. Thank you.
Madam Manja is the Director General, African International Documentary Festival Foundation, AfriDef. Thank you for coming on the show. We'll take a moment now. When we return, we'll get to another. Okay, we're going right to the next one, and Jeffrey has this one.
All right, from there, let's talk about what we started off yesterday. This is what you may call a right to reply. A gentleman was here yesterday that talked about an organization that, in his words, may be affiliated to or has the relationship with the Federal Ministry of Youth and Development, and they've come up with this, program to support young people, to have some, training outside the country, and several other things he said about those things. But he said since they were giving those promissory notes or those, and they made certain payments, I will allow the guy to say things by himself in just a moment. They haven't seen anything from this particular organization, and so he's considering them fraudulent, allegedly. So that's why we invited the leader of the organization to join us on the program today, Mr. Kennedy Yeye. He's the Coordinator General of YEIDEP and President of YOTC. Mr. Kennedy, good morning and welcome to the program. Can you hear us? Mr. Kennedy, I just want to establish that you can hear us. Can you hear us, Mr. Kennedy?
Yes, I can hear you very well. It's very loud and clear.
Absolutely. So I want to be sure that I'm sure you'd have watched the program yesterday and you would like to have your responses. But let's take a listen to what the gentleman said yesterday.
Around December, January last year, a group came out with
regarding a government-sponsored program for young entrepreneurs and business people, a UK summit as it were, to meet with investors in diaspora, and it was seen by many as a very laudable position. It was marketed by Mrs. Agamon of Moriko Limited in partnership with a comrade Iyere, who had a program called Yotzi, but Yotzi has since transformed to NEEDEP and YEDEP. It was claimed that the program was in partnership with the federal government and the Federal Ministry of Youth Development. Participants were requested to pay some sum to facilitate the stuff. They went to Abuja and were received at the Federal Secretariat, the Federal Ministry of Youth Development office. After making the payments and all, they were given some documents and applications were made to the UK office. It turned out actually that it was all false. The documents were false. There was no meeting set up in the UK, so the monies collected from them was really a setup to defraud them.
So who collected these monies?
The monies was collected through the recruiting agency, Moriko Limited, Mrs. Agamon. Agomon, and our partner is Comrade Kennedy Iyere. I have a list.
Do you know them personally?
Yes, I have a list. About 20 people were defrauded through that particular
Allegedly defrauded.
We can use the word alleged, but as someone who has some of the evidence and can be presented, we have actually spoken with Alagbon. We spoke with Area F, right, and got an invitation for Comrade Iyere, but he declined to show up. So both of them, just.
I'm sure you heard him. He said these are young entrepreneurs who were promised that they will be meeting with investors in diaspora, and they had a meeting in the nation's capital at the Ministry of Youth Affairs, where this was supposed to be facilitated. Payments were made through recruitment agency. But that's the last they've heard of it. This is over a year and nothing has been heard. So he considers this whole enterprise fraudulent. And it's even more disturbing because he says what was done to them in Abuja is being done across the country. What's your response before we dig deep?
Yes, thank you very much. Good morning to you, Jeff. Comrade Kennedy Iyere is my name. I'm a humanitarian activist. I'm a philanthropist. And I am the founder of the Youth of the Street Initiative, YOTSI, and the Coordinator General of the Youth Economic Intervention and De-Radicalization Program, YEDEP, a partnership program of the federal government anchored by the Federal Ministry of Youth Development. Are you there?
Go ahead, we're listening.
Yeah, now, thank you very much for this. There is something I will draw out before commencing with my submissions. The young man there said, we found out that the documents were all false and there was no form of meetings scheduled in the UK for them. I'm happy this is a national TV, and this has actually given me and given us a basis to file a suit, because this thing has been ongoing for a very long time. It is just that for me, I just have been watching to see where they stop, then I start. Yes, the Youth Economic Intervention and De-Radicalization Program today is the most visible program of the federal government for the youth of Nigeria that has recorded over 30 million youth that have registered for this program. This program is funded largely through donor funding. I'm a philanthropist. I'm an ODA intervention specialist. So you should know that the fact that I'm the one anchoring this program, the right person is sitting down there to drive it. This program is their target, just to bring this program into disrepute. But a program like YEDEP has transcended above that realm. There was a program we actually planned to take place in the UK. And that program was anchored by YEIDEP, which is the program that my non-governmental organization, the Use of the Street Initiative, presented to the federal government through the Federal Ministry of Youth Development. After a series of meetings and reviews, they saw the need to embrace and approve the program, whose mandate is to ensure that...
Mr. Ayere, if I may butt in, we don't have the luxury of time. A clear allegation was made. You've laid the foundation of what you do. The man said you're fraudulent. So let me be clear. Fraudulent because you've collected money through those agencies, or these agents, your group facilitated this thing that they were supposed to meet investors as entrepreneurs in the diaspora. 1 year plus after, nothing has been done. I want you to respond to that allegation, because for them, we have receipts of payments that we can show. They said they're not seeing anything. So just give me, because of time.
Let me respond to you. There are the people who are fraudulent. Beginning from the Moriko that we hired. Moriko was not just hired by us. We gave him a letter of engagement, which she must present, signed by me as the Coordinator General of YEIDEP, and the instruction was that she should recruit credible young people who are interested in showcasing their small-scale businesses to the Nigerian diaspora community in the UK. And in the letter, it was said that the participation fee will be 2.5 million, and that no kobo should be added or deducted. No kobo should be added. Moriko collected that letter of engagement. After 1 month, we got a call coming through to the Honorable Minister for Youth Development that there was a program, so a lady called Moriko Services has introduced to some young people out there for an event of showcasing their small businesses in the UK. But that the program is requesting of each person to pay 150,000 first before being given the opportunity to apply. Once we got that call, I approached the Honorable Minister for Youth Development, and the minister issued a disclaimer. The disclaimer was published. When the time comes to present evidences, I shall present those evidences. The Honorable Minister issued the disclaimer. I'm coming. After the disclaimer was issued, Moriko came begging that I should ask the minister to reverse the disclaimer, because the disclaimer was going to damage Moriko Healthcare Services Company.
All right.
After 3 weeks, I had to plead with the minister to reverse the disclaimer. And I assured the minister that the woman in question, I'm sure, will not do anything beyond what I instructed. As of the time the disclaimer was issued, she has collected over 4 million from the applicants we don't even know.
All right. Mr. Ayere.
I asked her, yes, I'm coming. I asked her to refund the people.
We have to squeeze in as many questions as possible, because
yes,
where this conversation is going to...
Regarding the issue of fraud, I'm coming. Let me respond to this now. Regarding the issue of fraud.
All right. Briefly, please.
They are the fraudulent people. We created, the first allegation he made here is that there was no invitation. There was no program happening for which they were invited. That is a lie. I will also present an evidence. Let me tell you, the organization that invited.
So confirm for us, have you taken one Nigerian, to the UK for any program? One.
You should be thinking of several, not even one, not only to the UK. You can.
So how many have you taken to UK or Canada for these business
No, you don't, my dear, you don't talk to me and say for this business. I am too valid. If you live in Nigeria, you should know who I am.
Mr.
No,
we're not here.
No, you are talking. Hold on.
We're not. Don't tell me to hold on.
You have the hold on.
The question is very simple and straightforward.
No,
have you taken any Nigerian or Nigerians? Give us a number of the persons you've taken abroad for any of these trips.
I have asked you. I said several, multiple people, and you should
give us a number. Give us a number.
Hold on. Pardon?
From your data, give us the number of persons you've taken abroad for this trip.
I hope you know you are a journalist. I should look at.
I know I'm a journalist. I'm not sure what you.
Hold on.
I'm not sure what you're trying to play here. Just give us the numbers.
Hold on.
You have your data. The records are there. How many Nigerians have you taken abroad? It's a simple question.
Hold on. I will respond to you first. But there is something I would like you to do. When you were answering me a question, we are not joking here. Let me tell you, this program.
We are not. Oh my word.
Hold on. This program, ask the producer of this program to send this to share with you records and data I have shared with him. I have shared every what I have shared so far with Channels TV is enough to last for the next 2 years. So you don't come and ask me a question that is baseless. No. Let me tell you what's there. This program, hold on, this is the most credible program today that has to do with the use of Nigeria. One. Number two, this program is not just doing international. We do local. We have done 12 states and we shut down states and we spend several lakhs of money to do this program. Now, in the UK, they were supposed to attend a program organized by Kanuk. As a journalist, you should know who Kanuk is. The Central Association of Nigerians in the United Kingdom. Their AGM for last year was what they were supposed to attend. The minister himself was invited. These people saying they found out it was fake. That is defamatory. The reality is that they went to the embassy for their visas. We issued all the letters, correct? You are now showing the letter of engagement I issued to Morocco. So, Mr. Journalist, what you have evidences for? There are ways you trivialize matters that have solemn relevance when you try to be biased. Now, they were invited. Hold on. They were invited. No, hold on. They were invited by the Central Association of Nigerians in the United Kingdom. They go to the embassy. They were denied visas. They go to the embassy. They were denied visas. And if you really want to be investigative as journalists, ask them to present to you the refusal letter. The only reason they were refused is that they have not been able to demonstrate adequate proof that they have enough economic ties that can bring them out of the UK to Nigeria. Nothing. We issued all the visa support letters from my office at GDEP. GDEP is a creation of government. We should be respected, and if we are to be interviewed, we should also have at the back of our mind that a lot of people are out there to attack this laudable program that has emancipated a lot of people. So when you are asking me how many people have taken to the UK, that I should give you evidence, go first and foremost, go and check the evidences I have sent to you, and your mind and records and facts and statistics will tell you that GDEP is one of the biggest interventions you can find today in the world, and the most credible.
Mr. Yere, first of all, we do not want to see just letters alone. If you say that you have taken many Nigerians abroad, we want to see documentary evidence. Mr. Yere.
You don't ask me.
We want to see. No, Mr. Yere, there's no need to get. There's no need to get emotional. We want to see videos, documentary evidence to prove that indeed there's a partnership between GDEP, the Federal Ministry of Youth, and whatever body abroad, such that we can believe that indeed this program does exist. We want to see videos.
I have sent you more than 50 videos. Go and look at them.
Whenever programs programs like this are put together, there is usually an explainer. And Mr. Nakore did speak to it yesterday, that the ministry offered assurances that it is the government that is going to ensure that these visas are made available. So if you're now saying that, visas were refused, can you tell us how many people were refused visas? Because Mr. Nakore spoke to us yesterday about 20 people who have made payment to you. So can you explain to us why all those 20 people were refused visas, please?
Let me also, I will respond to you by asking you a question. You see, let me tell you, you journalists,
we're the ones
you should learn how to, hold on. You should learn how to ask questions that are intelligent. Look at the question you asked me that the federal government said they will guarantee their visas. Did you listen to your question? Does that make sense to you? When has the federal government of Nigeria become when did Asiwaju become the prime minister of Britain?
Let me tell you. To them or not, that visas will come with ease.
That is not a question you should ask me, because nobody can ever.
No, you should expect any question, Mr. Yeri.
No. That's what I'm telling you, my friend. If you are interviewing me, I am a distinguished Nigerian. You don't ask me questions that make no sense. Ask me.
Mr. Yeri, can you calm down?
Telling me.
Mr. Yeri.
You are telling me.
No, you have to calm down.
Telling me.
Excuse me. No, I will not wait.
A lot of you journalists.
Hold on.
A lot of you journalists.
Mr. Yeri.
You try to.
Mr. Yeri, I don't want deflections. Mr. Yeri, if you don't calm down, I'll be forced to excuse you. It's a conversation. People are asking you questions. You don't cast aspersion on journalists. It's a simple question. The question is asked, you answer to the best of your ability, and you make your inference based on what you know. They were very simple and straightforward questions. You've been doing this for years. Simple question. No, you can't. Please do not interrupt. Please, just calm down. Calm down. Mr. Yeri, if you don't calm down, you will not be able to talk. Because the way you're going, you're not even listening to the question. So you need to calm down. Is it okay now?
Go ahead.
Are we okay? Can we agree that you will calm down?
Yeah, let's agree you will ask me questions that make sense.
Mr. Yeri,
ask me questions that
don't insult my intelligence. I didn't see you.
Nobody should insult
so calm down.
By asking me
Mr. Yeri,
questions that are
calm down.
I take exception to that. I'm a distinguished Nigerian.
Mr. Yeri, can you calm down? You need to calm down. You're on national television.
Ask me this question.
The questions were asked. Whether there were assurances from the whoever is facilitating this process that these people will get what they want in terms of traveling abroad to meet these investors. The first question my colleague asked was, first, how many people have gone? It's a simple 10, 100, 2 average figure. That's one question. Made payment. So what I would like to find out from you, these payments that were made that they are claiming to say that you're fraudulent or your organization is fraudulent as alleged, is it a payment that was meant to be refundable or non-refundable? So can you answer that at least?
Okay, now let me also respond to you while I answer you. Next time, you don't rush your guests into answering questions without first reviewing the documents that were sent to you. I sent lots of videos and documents this morning.
We have seen
you
documents.
Didn't review, and you are asking me questions that you have evidences for. Now let me respond to you. That question you asked me first.
What?
Who on earth in this world will guarantee visas to be issued by another country? Number one, that is a lie. That is a lie. Number one. Number two, these people came to spoil our business. That particular program is funded by our donors. Now, the recruitment process, we discover along the line that the Moroccan woman, rather than recruit credible people that really have small businesses they can showcase. What she did was to bring people who she had in mind to traffic. They were not meant to return. We invited them to Abuja for screening. When we invited them to Abuja for screening, they gave us facts that were actually not facts. What I could say, controversial facts. We later discover at the point of making the application that some of them do not even have a valid bank statement. A lot of them use OPay. Now, the question I'm asking you, that's why I'm asking you don't ask questions that make, as a journalist, it is understood or presumed that you are head of knowledge.
Mr. Yere,
Nobody. I'm coming.
No,
Yes.
I won't let you continue. Mr. Yere, thank you for coming. We had a nice time with you. You didn't respond to our question. Thank you. We'll see you some other time. Bye-bye.
Mr. Yere, by the way, has not provided, let's put it out there, he has not provided any video evidence to show that indeed this UDEP program has been done for other youths in Canada or in the United Kingdom. He has shown us letters indicating, intention to recruit the ones that we showed out there.
Videos right here in Nigeria.
Videos right there in Nigeria of the program, but no video evidence showing that the UDEP program occurred in Canada or in the UK. If Mr. Ayere makes those videos available, we are not supporting any side in this particular dispute. We would definitely put those videos out to show that indeed the UDEP program is an authentic one to empower Nigerian youth to showcase their enterprise to partners abroad. And by the way, perhaps we should also say at this point that we would like to also interview the Minister of Youth Development to speak to the authenticity of this UDEP program, such that Nigerian youths can be assured that it is an original program, that indeed the federal government partners with other bodies like Mr. Iyere, to empower Nigerian youths.
Because he says 13 million Nigerians, youths, have registered for this program. 13 million. And
Is that what he said, huh?
that's what he said, that the program at least about 13 million. And that's my concern, because we know how Nigerians are, a lot of Nigerians are desperate to live. And sometimes it makes us really very gullible. So it will be interesting that we get to see the facts and get to the end, because a lot of Nigerians have allegedly been defrauded with programs like this. So the Minister of Youth Development, he has to come and tell Nigerians, because his office is perhaps being used as maybe to endorse what this
confer legitimacy
to this program. So
of this program. Another thing we should also talk about, Jeffrey, is that he hasn't quite told us that the 20 persons that Mr. Nakore spoke about yesterday were all denied visas. If he says they were denied visas, was it all 20?
I think my question was quite simple. Maybe it's a good program, maybe it's not, we don't know. We're just here to ask questions, point to provide answers. And I was trying to say, the monies that were paid, were they refundable or non-refundable? Because the argument here is that they said, we paid money, we're supposed to go, yes, visa can be denied. For the fact that you apply a visa, for a visa doesn't mean you'll be given a visa. So that's why I wanted him to be clear on the terms of what he was trying to say. Whether through his agency or himself, to say, okay, if you're denied visa, you will get back your money. If you're not, because I said about 2.5 or 2 something million was supposed to be paid. Just bring clarity. What is bringing this issue is the monies that are being paid and the program that was not attended in maybe abroad. So that's why we're saying, do you have anything in the clause that says if you pay 2.5 million and this doesn't work, we'll refund or it's not refundable? To that extent, we can now approach and say, okay, but you guys were clear on what you said. So why are the people making all of this noise? So, but what we will not accept as a platform is you coming to back at us, shout at us, tell us we don't know how to ask questions. It takes a lot to be here. It's not a joke to get to this point. And we try to be as civil as possible with you. You kept shouting, you kept screaming and becoming unruly. So we will not appreciate that. I try to calm you down to say, can you calm down, let's have a proper conversation. You went back to being unruly and we will not take it.
And what is curious is that he said the recruiter was the one that was fraudulent, and I believe the recruiter is the one that Mr. Nakara spoke to yesterday, that her number is now no longer available. Now, if
that's the Mrs. Agamon. I think whoever you are, we need to know you, we need to speak with you. So we'll also hear your side of this.
And if if Morocco is the one that is fraudulent and has not recruited authentic Nigerians for this program, we have viewed receipts of payment made to Mr. Ayere. Why did you accept payment from these Nigerians that are not competent to enter for this program? And so if he had been civil, he should have been available right now to answer these very critical questions.
Well, we'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll have a chat with a gentleman. Okay, we're not going on a break, my producer says, because let's switch gears from all of that. Let's talk to a gentleman who, I like this particular one because it's very rare you see people with disabilities and challenges running for high offices. But there's a gentleman here who is running for that office. Who's taking this, Kelly?
Abdurrahman Awal joins us live now from our Abuja studios. He's the NDC House of Reps candidate for Bida Bako Kacha Federal Constituency seats in Niger State. Thank you indeed, Mr. Wao, for joining us here on the program. Niger State is very dear to my heart. I did my NYC there, so it's interesting that we're having this conversation with you. But more importantly, the fact that you are physically challenged, but you are not allowing that disability to hinder you of the dream and your aspirations, so to become a politician. But walk us through, why are you doing this?
Thank you very much for this opportunity. Am I being heard?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much. Actually, I have lived the whole of my life serving people, and I felt having a political position will give me a bigger table to do my advocacies and create that voice for the voiceless that is very important in the community I come from. And I really have forgotten about my disability long ago, because it has not hindered me in any way. I have done a lot of businesses, hold a lot of positions, contributed my impact to the progress of the country through various means, and the disability has never been an impediment. So I've long ago forgotten my disability. It's just because it's physical that when people see me with white cane, they still remind me that, oh, this is someone with visual impairment, and I get to remember as well.
Well, I'm not sure how you intend to navigate Nigeria's political landscape and just how interesting our elections here are. You know how they say, you know what, you have to monitor the ballot and all of that. I know there are questions as to, you know what, the NDC, what kind of structure do you have to win elections? So just speak to those two issues in terms of the structure you have ahead of the elections.
Well, firstly, the NDC is a party that has a structure from the national to even the polling unit level. So I'm sure the NDC is fully prepared structural-wise to take the responsibility of ensuring that the victory that belongs to the party cannot be taken ordinarily. And navigating the political landscape, well, I have been a very active Nigerian. I have traveled across around 33 states in Nigeria alone with my white cane. I think I have gone around the whole of local government in Niger State previously when I was the member of Presidential Campaign Council and Gubernatorial Campaign Councils over time. So those polling units I'm going to canvass for votes now are places I'm muchly familiar with, and are places I already have ambassadors in. So I have never seen anything hectic there. We're just waiting for what the time has, and we're hopeful that whatever the case be, we are going to deliver successfully on this mandate, hopefully.
let's talk about representation in the community of persons living with disability and the politics there as well. What is the evidence to show that persons living with disability vote for their own and ensure that their own at least get elected, at different levels? And I say this because there is, a community of persons with disability, but more often than not, we do not see as many victories as we ought to of persons living with disability at the polls, because you're not the first, person from that community or candidate from that community that has contested in recent years. I hope you catch my drift.
Yes, the community of people with disability can really showcase their number when we want to elect the President of Federal Republic of Nigeria, because everyone is to cast their vote for a single person. But mostly the statistic has shown that we are not more than 10% of the general population. So that is why if in Bidagwako Kacha we have only 10%, and okay, let's assume the 10% gave me their vote completely, you see that we are still dragging the remaining 90% with the whole people, and maybe some way, somehow, stigma and other discriminations could come to play that may not allow us to really have a good share out of the 90%. I think that has been responsible for the way it has been previously, but in this aspiration, we have taken a different dimension to it, because it's not about disability now, it's about the impact we are able to contribute to the society. We have track records that people are using to look at who we are before aspiring and who they think we can become after victory.
Well, we're super supportive of everyone, and we're glad that you took on this, this ambition. But talk to us about how you intend, or how you already, I know campaign hasn't started. Let's start with how you've been managing with consultation and acceptance and assurances within the political class in your area, and how you intend to navigate all of this with the challenge to make sure that you get the kind of votes that is needed to put you in the House.
Thank you very much. I have been fully on ground for consultations. I travel around the constituency to at least consult with people to be sure that they understand why I am aspiring, and I tell them what affects them in my kind of blueprint. And aside this, we receive a lot of, because it's the first of its kind in my community, so a lot of people come ask a series of questions, and as a counseling psychologist, we are using our knowledge to see that we understand how people view us, and we provide the needed clarity where it's necessary. And I believe I am the most accessible aspirant that the community has ever witnessed, and I'm going to be the most accessible member, Federal House of Rep, if I become victorious by God's willing.
I know it's not campaign season, but I'm tempted to ask, what do you really want to solve? Because first, if you win this election, it's going to be a major statement, and that statement is going to be quite loud across the country. So that first will answer the question of inclusion. So we already know the answer to that. But in terms of issues beyond inclusion, what is the passion here?
Well, my first passion is that when you look at the northern Nigeria entirely, you see that there are issues of insecurity around everywhere, and from my own assessment, those insecurity comes out from lack of employment opportunities for the younger generation. So the youth will be fully taken care of in terms of legislation, And virtually everything we will have to do, we have to put the youth, the women, and those unheard voices at the front core of our agenda. And by giving them the full presence they need to have in the table, I think we will be able to synergize with them to see how to make them better Nigerians, because when somebody doesn't have anything in the country, the person doesn't care of what happens to the country. So we want to bring them, make them so important, discuss with them and find things that will engage them so that they will be busy making progress instead of causing us more problems. Where women are facing a lot of challenges, and I have lived the whole of my life trying to see that women do not face the victimization they've been facing, and it's going to be the core part of my legislation as well to ensure that we give them their right position, and we're sure if they are rightly placed, we are going to have a better generation, and we're going to have a harmonious relationship between us and everyone. And I'm sure that my constituency will be one place that people will come to take an example of what belongs to who and how is that supposed to be done.
Well, persons.
And I think thirdly, okay.
Yeah, go ahead and just land on that point.
Okay, thirdly, I am going to be transparent and as accountable as Nigerians has never witnessed in terms of representation. But I believe that will bring the desired need of what people are really looking for in representation to play, and I'm sure that it's going to be exemplary, that channels will want to come and take a better news going forward.
We look forward to it, Mr. Awal. Accountability and transparency is something that is really lacking so long as leadership is concerned in this part of the world. So remember these words when and if perhaps you get the chance to represent your people, because persons with disabilities represent about 15% or about 15% of Nigeria's population. That's about 35 million Nigerians with disabilities. So it's interesting to see you take on this challenge, and I believe you have the support of many Nigerians. We wish you all the best. It's a fine place to end our conversation with you. This Mr. Abdurrahman Awal is the NDC House of Reps candidates for Bida and Kacho. Bako Kachia Federal Constituency in Niger. So thank you indeed for your time on the program.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, so here we are. What are we looking at? Let's look at what the people are saying. The big one, guys, I don't know whether you followed that. Tyler, the two-time Grammy Award winner, was supposed to be in Lagos. Yes, so for those of you who don't follow music, Tyler is a musician from South Africa. She's beaten her Nigerians in the Grammy twice. So that's a beautiful young lady. She was supposed to come. She's doing a world tour. She was built to come to the commercial entertainment capital of Nigeria, which is Lagos, to perform. But Nigerians came gun blazing on social media and said, please, we don't have anything personal against you. But for two reasons, your government is not acting the way they should act. Two, we did not hear you speak against such xenophobia. For now, it's too volatile to not come. We don't want you here. And it was a divided house. But it looks like a lot of Nigerians in one. But also understand that she's also dropped the plan to come to Lagos. I think it's a reasonable thing to have. It's not a good time to be there. We enjoy our music. I don't think everybody's against our music.
You like your music, but
I think when moments, you're not just a musician. I know some musicians don't like to come into politics and all of that, but it's not just politics. It's about our common humanity and all of that. Not even speaking at all is maybe perhaps why some Nigerians don't want her to be here. Not because of anything. Not because she's a South African. I think it's more because she did not speak up against, or at least have a say when it came to the issue of xenophobia.
And it's not just Tyler, many South African performers experiencing, this kind of pattern in their, career, especially since this round of xenophobic attacks with many boycotting them. Look at the treatment they also got at the World Cup, as well. So if Tyler hasn't condemned it, some will say silence means consent. And in this round of evacuations of, African nationals from South Africa has been experiencing a labor glut, according to reports. So the consequences of xenophobia in South Africa may be far from over. I'm sure that we're still to hear and talk about many more things to come before the end of 2026.
I mean, if you look at music, Nigeria and South Africa share a lot in common. We play their songs, and I think a lot of South Africans as well play our songs. So I just think that perhaps celebrities need to learn that they need to use their platform to, just say and speak to issues. From there, let's move on to something else. Nigerians, again, in this very disturbing video, scooping fuel from a leaking tanker in Delta States. This is common sight, but I thought that with all of the awareness as a network, we have promos, trying to just sort of bring some sort of caution as to the consequences of this. It only takes just one spark, and it's over. And it's over. We do not pray for that, but look at this. Desperate times indeed for Nigerians. We understand the economic hardships and realities, but this is a no, because it's not worth it. Even for the person filming, it's not safe. Yeah? It's not safe.
And thank you, Jeffrey. And the distance between the person recording and this activity is not far at all, even though we're grateful for this video such that we can continue with our advocacy, but it just shows the level of danger that they're all exposed to. And so we use this opportunity to say again to Nigerians, when there is an accidented articulated vehicle carrying petrol, diesel, kerosene, the product is highly inflammable. Your life is not worth a bucket or a jerry can of petrol. You have to run far away from the location. What these individuals are doing is suicidal.
Well, from there, as we begin to wind down, we saw that heavy rains that had created flood in Benin or Expressway, stranding hundreds of persons on the state axis. So you can see, I saw this video, guys. I was like, where is this? And this is just where I don't think there were any casualties to the best of my knowledge. No. But this is a river that maybe overflowing river because of the rain and all of that. But I think it's a federal road. I think the other lane was totally overtaken, literally. It looks like a place that is under construction. But this is the call on the attention of the federal government to this particular road. So whatever caused this, whether it's a natural disaster or not, whatever can be done to minimize the impact is a welcome initiative.
The Benin Ore Expressway. Yes, where this.
And the rains are upon us, so we should expect more sites like this in the coming days.
Absolutely.
Well, that's not all. Thousands of migrants have also streamed into the tiny Spanish territory of Quetta in North Africa from Morocco. I mean, look at this.
There are things that will never end.
Oh my
It looks
word.
like these things never end. So Morocco and Spain are just the ocean away.
Are these African migrants or
Of course.
are they European migrants?
Well, wherever they came, they say they came from Morocco. So whether they're Africans or non-Africans, where they departed from is what is central. Where they arrived at is also what is central. They left Morocco and they're in Spain.
Now these migrants are not carrying anything, not a bag to their name, or
That
whether
is
they
the
have a
most-
coin
because-
or a penny to their name.
They know they'll be taken care of. Yeah. They know they'll be taken care of. So
Wow.
the bag will come later. but it's quite, we may laugh about these things, but it's quite sad that people can be this desperate.
Well, it's symptomatic of the development issues around the world that we're dealing with. But
especially in Africa.
this looks like the 11th wonder of the world.
Someone questioned if other persons had to, break the borders of Morocco to gain access into their countries, how would the Moroccan government, treat them? Because there were reports about how sometimes
It can be brutal.
it can be very brutal. Libya and all of those northern.
Because nobody takes migration issue lightly. But that's much we can take, guys. It's the Friday edition of the program. We thank you for your time and company. I'm Jeffrey Zoma. Bye-bye.
We're back again on Monday, but do enjoy your weekend. I am Bukola Koka.
Sunrise Daily is up next. I am Kelly Giga. Bye now.